I really have to tell you, Steve, I love your costume for the Tendril Halloween party. Ooh, ooh. That's it, Steve. Commit to the character. I think we have the winner already. Cobra Commander? Steve, who are you talking to? If you're there, who's this guy? Brains. Brains. Ah! Hello, guys and ghouls. It's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another review. Since it's Halloween week, I figure I'd do a little theme video, and we are taking a look at the Cobra Zombie Viper. Now, this is not the first time the zombie plague has befallen G.I. Joe. Back in the early 90s, during the Dayglow era, there was like I think it was like a toxic viper that was done as like a mutated. I think they called them a zombie viper, but it looked much more like a viper with little bits coming out. This, on the other hand, looks straight up like a zombie. Now, I want to just mention right off the bat that I actually did not pay for this figure. A listener to the What's on Joe Mind podcast sent one in. I'm not really sure they want their name mentioned, but you know who you are, and I do appreciate it. Because quite frankly, I'm not really that all into zombies, and a combination of the fact that this country's zombie crazy and it was a later wave release, made this figure's value shoot up on the aftermarket. It's kind of held steady the last couple years at about $25, but it is what it is. This is an entirely new mold. If there's any reused parts, I can't tell. Um, it has this the base figure of the base color of the figure is basically a combination of swamp green with gray. It really gives that look of rotting flesh, which is kind of interesting since technically these are not real zombies. Um, Seeing as how they've been infected with Compound Z, one can assume that once the uh, drug is removed, these guys go back to normal. It really is a lot of cool look here. There is some interesting sculpting, here in the head where you can't really show brains, but I guess that's what's supposed to be. Um, I mean, there's this nice web gear and stuff. One thing that's really cool is the hands. Um, they are molded sort of like claws. So yeah, there's really no way you're going to get them to be able to hold anything worthwhile. But we'll get into that more with the articulation, which we're going to look at right now. Okay, starting us off, let's take a look at the head. Like I said, very nice sculpted detail. I mean, a lot of time, a lot of money went into this. Really looks good. It's on a ball joint, limited movement up and down, but it can swing side to side. I think a lot of that, the limit in the side and the up and down, might have to do with the molding of the neck. Moving down, universal shoulders, 90-degree bend at the elbow, rotation at the bicep, rotation at the forearm. That's for the tendril gimmick, which we'll get to. And it does have the enhanced wrist articulation where it can go in and out and rotate at the wrist. So this has a lot of arm articulation. I wouldn't mind seeing, a normal trooper at some point come with these arms, just to be able to really pose it and all that stuff. But it's the same on both sides. Moving down, ball jointed hips, double jointed knees, just like that. And You have a bare foot with forward and back ankle articulation and rotation. No pivot, but this was really before they started putting the pivot into the figures. So let's take a look at the accessories. Okay, well, it comes to the figure stand, um, which basically all the Pursuit of Cobra figures did. To think there was a time, and a lot of people are starting to forget, where G.I. Joes all came with stands. A helmet that's really designed to keep the flow of Compound Z going, and a canister of Compound Z that plugs into the back of the helmet. There are 3 holes. I usually go for the middle one, and there's a peg here, so it's sticking out of the back. Now there were 3 holes in the back of the web gear. I usually go for like the top, like the middle one or such. You know, your choice is yours. If you have extra canisters and they have the plug, you can actually do it. So shove it in like that, and just slide the helmet on, and you have a helmeted zombie. Now, to be honest with you, I wouldn't really use this just because you kind of miss out on all that great detail on the figure's face. Now there's one, or actually say 2 bigger accessories, which we're going to look at right now. As I mentioned when going over articulation, the figure comes with 2 replaceable forearms, which turn the arm and hand into Carnage-like tendrils, if you're a fan of the Marvel Comics. It's a little tricky to do just because the connections are rather tight, and you do have these harder plastic cuffs, which are torn bits of shirt. But basically, I'll just do it on one arm. You just pop it off, just like that. The sleeve comes off too. Now, I'll be honest, this sleeve was a separate piece and package, and I'm not really sure what direction it goes. I'm not sure, really don't think it matters. There is actually, believe it or not, one for the right, one for the left. I do believe this is the one for the right, just because of how it's curved. And then this just snaps on. And actually, there's even a certain way it's supposed to be posed, because if you look at the musculature, and how the blue on the veins line up, I think this arm is meant to go this way. But I mean, you can, of course, loop it around and what have you, but it's basically a static piece. They're soft rubber. There's no articulation except for the rotation here up at the elbow. You still have that bicep swivel and the bend, but that's about it. All in all, it's kind of cool, for what it is. In the later days of the Pursuit of Cobra line, I really think Hasbro was onto something with the whole Compound Z story. Unfortunately, due to the release of Retaliation, that entire line got cut off and that story squashed. While I will never be a big fan of zombies, especially with the oversaturation in the market today, this is a cool figure. Do I think it's worth $25? No. If I could go back in time when I pick one up, probably not. Much like the Toxo Zombie, the Toxo Viper, it just didn't grab me. With the tendrils, I'm sorry. But if you're a fan, you probably already have one. You probably already have several. Interestingly enough, it was the whole Compound Z concept that led to the zombie Cobra Commander that we saw in the concept case that was eventually released in the Retaliation line as the Ultimate Cobra Commander without the zombieification. This is your old pal Chuck for the Zombie Viper. Happy Halloween, and see you next time. Do you think we can outrun him, Commander? Who cares? I just have to outrun you.